Welcome back. This is part 4 of the 4-part series on the concentration code. I'm Dr. Alfred Ricks Jr. and this part 4 is about mental math shortcuts for any IV bag in seconds. You can find more detailed information on this subject in my book, The Concentration Code. Here's the problem. Most clinicians do not have a systematic mental math method. The divide and conquer method presented here provides the mental math shortcuts for any IV bag in seconds. You learned the formula in school: total drug divided by total volume. You've used it hundreds of times. You know it works, but knowing a formula and having a system are two entirely different things. A formula is a tool you pick up when you need it. A system is something that runs automatically every time, regardless of the drug, the bag size, or the clinical pressure you're under. Most clinicians have the formula. Almost none of them have the system. The divide and conquer method changes that. It's a single master framework built around the 3 most common IV bag volumes in emergency and critical care medicine. That's 250 milliliters, 500 milliliters, and 1,000 milliliter bags. Those 3 volumes cover the overwhelming majority of drips you'll hang. Once you can mentally divide any drug amount by any of those 3 volumes in seconds, you can calculate the concentration of almost any standard bag before you finish reading the label. So let's look at divide by 250, divide by 500, and divide by 1,000. These 3 shortcuts cover 90% of clinical bags. The most common IV bag volumes in emergency medicine are 250, 500, and 1,000 milliliters. If you can divide any drug amount by those 3 numbers quickly and reliably in your head, you can calculate the concentration of nearly every drip you'll ever hang without touching a calculator. Each volume has its own mental shortcut, and each shortcut is built around a simple arithmetic trick that makes the division faster than it looks on paper. Let's start with 250 milliliters because it's the most common bag volume for vasopressors and antiarrhythmics in the critical care setting. Dividing by 250 sounds harder than it is. The trick is to recognize that 250 is the same as 1,000 divided by 4. So instead of dividing by 250 directly, you divide by 1,000 first and then multiply by 4. That 2-step process is almost always faster than direct division because dividing by 1,000 is trivial and multiplying by 4 is simple. Here's how it works with a real drug: norepinephrine, 4 milligrams in 250 milliliters. You want the concentration in micrograms per milliliter, so you first convert the 4 milligrams to micrograms. 4 milligrams times 1,000 is 4,000 micrograms. Now divide by 250 using the shortcut. Divide 4,000 by 1,000, you get 4. Multiply by 4, you get 16. The concentration is 16 micrograms per milliliter. You just did that in your head in about 5 seconds. No calculator, no paper, just the shortcut. Try it with dopamine. The bag is 400 milligrams and 250 milliliters. Convert to micrograms. 400 milligrams times 1,000 is equal to 400,000 micrograms. Divide by 1,000, you get 400. Multiply by 4, you get 1,600. The concentration is 1,600 micrograms per milliliter. That's the standard dopamine concentration that shows up in almost every clinical care protocol, and you can arrive at it from the label in seconds using nothing but the divide by 250 shortcut. Let's do one more. Amiodarone, 450 milligrams in 250 milliliters. You want milligrams per milliliter here, not micrograms per milliliter, because amiodarone is dosed in milligrams. So skip the unit conversion and go straight to the division. Divide 450 by 1,000, you get 0.45. Multiply by 4, you get 1.8. The concentration is 1.8 milligrams per milliliter. If you round to make it cleaner, that's approximately 1.8 milligrams per milliliter, which tells you that running the drip at 33 milliliters per hour delivers about 60 milligrams per hour instead of the 59.4 milligrams in the calculation. And that's a common amiodarone maintenance dose. The shortcut got you there without any long division. Now move on to the 500 milliliter bag. These are common for drugs like lidocaine, heparin, and vasopressor protocols because they use a more dilute concentration. Dividing by 500 is even simpler than dividing by 250. The trick here is to recognize that 500 is 1,000 divided by 2. So you divide by 1,000 and then multiply by 2. That's it. Lidocaine, 2 grams in 500 milliliters. Convert to milligrams first. 2 grams equals 2,000 milligrams. Divided by 1,000, you get 2. Multiplied by 2, you get 4. The concentration is 4 milligrams per milliliter. That's a standard lidocaine drip concentration, and you got there in 2 mental steps. If you want micrograms per milliliter, just multiply it by 1,000. 4 milligrams per milliliter is equal to 4,000 micrograms per milliliter. Now you know that running the drip at 30 milliliters per hour delivers 120,000 micrograms per hour, or 2,000 micrograms per minute, which is 2 milligrams per minute, which is a common lidocaine maintenance rate. Heparin has 25,000 units in 500 milliliters. Divide by 1,000, you get 25. Multiply by 2, you get 50. The concentration is 50 units per milliliter. Every milliliter of that bag contains 50 units of heparin. Running it at 20 milliliters an hour delivers 1,000 units per hour. That's a typical starting rate for a heparin infusion in a patient with pulmonary embolus or deep vein thrombosis. The divide by 500 shortcut got you to the concentration in seconds. And from there, the dose calculation is straightforward multiplication. The 1,000 milliliter bag is the easiest of the three. Dividing by 1,000 is just moving the decimal point 3 places to the left. That's it. No trick, no two-step process, just shift the decimal. Magnesium, 2 grams in 1,000 milliliters. 2 grams is equal to 2,000 milliliters. Divide by 1,000, move the decimal 3 places left. The concentration is 2 milligrams per milliliter. A maintenance dose of magnesium running at 50 milliliters per hour delivers 100 micrograms per hour. Now, potassium chloride, 40 milliequivalents in 1,000 milliliters. Divide 40 by 1,000. The concentration is 0.04 milliequivalents per milliliter. Running at 100 milliliters per hour delivers 4 milliequivalents per hour, which is within the standard rate for peripheral potassium replacement. The 1,000 milliliter shortcut is so simple that once you recognize it, you'll use it almost without thinking. Now, pattern recognition for the common concentrations. You should know these on sight. That's a level of clinical speed beyond the mental calculations, and that level is recognition. Calculation takes a few seconds. Recognition takes none. You build that recognition library the same way you build any pattern library, through repeated exposure to the same examples until the connection between input and output becomes automatic. Here are the 7 most common concentration patterns in emergency and critical care medicine. For each one, you'll see the calculation, the shortcut, and the final concentration. Your job is to run through these repeatedly until the final number comes to you the moment you read the label, without any of the intermediate steps. The first pattern is 4 milligrams in 250 milliliters. This is the standard norepinephrine concentration in many ICUs and emergency departments. Convert 4 milligrams to 4,000 micrograms. Apply the divide by 250 shortcut, which is 4,000 divided by 1,000 equals 4, times 4 is equal 16. The concentration is 16 micrograms per milliliter. When you see 4 milligrams in 250 milliliters on any bag of any drug, your brain should produce 16 micrograms per milliliter without any conscious calculations. That's the target. 16 is the answer. It should come automatically. The second pattern is 8 milligrams in 250 milliliters. This is a common norepinephrine concentration for patients requiring higher vasopressor doses where a more concentrated bag reduces the fluid volume delivered per hour. You convert the 8 milligrams to 8,000 micrograms. Apply the divide by 250 shortcut, which is divide by 1,000 multiplied by 4. 8,000 divided by 1,000 equals 8 times 4 equals 32. The concentration is 32 micrograms per milliliter. Notice the relationship. 8 milligrams in 250 milliliters exactly double the concentration of the 4 milligrams in 250 milliliters. That doubling relationship is worth looking in because it means anytime you switch from a 4 milligram to an 8 milligram bag at the same volume, you need to cut the pump rate in half to deliver the same dose. 32 micrograms per milliliter. That's the number. Know it on sight. The third pattern is 400 milligrams in 250 milliliters. This is the standard concentration for dopamine. Convert 400 milligrams to 400,000 micrograms. Apply the divide by 250 shortcut. Take 400,000 divided by 1,000 is equal to 400. Multiply that times 4, it's equal to 1,600. The concentration is 1,600 micrograms per milliliter. This is a much higher concentration than the norepinephrine example, which makes sense because dopamine is dosed at a higher absolute amount. At a typical dose of 10 mics per kilogram per minute for an 80 kilogram patient, you need 800 micrograms per minute, which is 48,000 micrograms per hour, divided by 1,600 micrograms per milliliter, and you get 30 milliliters per hour. That 30 milliliters per hour figure is a useful clinical anchor for standard dopamine dosing in an average adult. 1,600 micrograms per milliliter. Know it on sight. The fourth pattern is 1 gram in 100 milliliters. This shows up most often with antibiotics and some antiarrhythmic. 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. Divide by 100, the concentration is 10 milligrams per milliliter. This is a straightforward division that doesn't require any divide by 1,000 trick because 100 is a simple divisor. 1 gram in 100 milliliters equals 10 milligrams per milliliter. That's clean, simple, and worth knowing automatically before it comes up constantly in an antibiotic situation. Pattern number 5 is 1 gram in 1,000 milliliters. Same total drug, 10 times the volume. 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams. Divide by 1,000. That's using the simplest shortcut. Move the decimal place 3 places left. The concentration is 1 milligram per milliliter. That is exactly 1/10 the concentration of the 1 gram in 100 milliliter pattern. If you've ever handed a bag and you're not sure whether it's 100 milliliters or 1,000 milliliter, that distinction changes the concentration by a factor of 10. That's a tenfold error waiting to happen if you don't check the volume. 1 milligram per milliliter. Know it on sight and know that it's 1/10 of the 10 milligrams per milliliter pattern. The sixth pattern is 25,000 units in 250 milliliters. That is the standard heparin drip concentration used in most hospitals. Apply the divide by 250 shortcut. 25,000 divided by 1,000 equals 25 times 4 is equal to 100. The concentration is 100 units per milliliter. Every milliliter of that bag contains 100 units of heparin. A rate of 10 milliliters per hour delivers 1,000 units per hour. A rate of 20 milliliters per hour delivers 2,000 units per hour. Those are the kind of clinical anchors that make titration fast and intuitive once you know the concentration by sight. 100 units per milliliter. Know it automatically. The seventh pattern is 50 milligrams in 500 milliliters. This shows up with nitroglycerin and some other cardiovascular infusion. Apply the divide by 500 shortcut. 50 divided by 1,000 is equal to 0.05 times 2 equals 0.1. The concentration is 0.1 milligram per milliliter. Convert it to micrograms per milliliter by multiplying by 1,000. The concentration is 100 mics per milliliter. Every milliliter of that bag contains 100 micrograms of drug. Running it at 3 milliliters per hour delivers 300 micrograms per hour, or 5 micrograms per minute, which is a common starting rate for nitroglycerin in acute coronary syndrome. 100 micrograms per milliliter. Know it on sight. A practical way to build this recognition fast is to write all 7 patterns on a single index card. On one side, write only the drug amount and volume. On the other side, write the concentration. Quiz yourself on the card for 5 minutes every day for 2 weeks. You should learn all 7 patterns. This is the end of the 4-part series based on my book, The Concentration Code, which teaches pattern recognition, bedside mental math, and the emergency drug shortcuts that turn slow, calculator-dependent clinicians into the fastest person in the room. It is my prayer that this information will be used to save at least one person's life.